Hello, I'm Tom from Solo 16 Broadcast. We're going to cover a lot in this video, so check out the timecode chapters here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can jump to the areas that interest you using the video description. We've spent a lot of money on LiveU products over the years, but full disclosure before we start, LiveU have sent us this new unit free of charge to review, but have not requested, controlled or reviewed any of our videos prior to us uploading. Unlike some reviewers, we do not sell LiveU products and have no reason to sing their praises other than the fact that their products do just what we need them to do. At Solo 16 Broadcast, we work in both the TV and corporate markets. We provide outside broadcasts from prime time breakfast television to remote and very private wedding and funeral services and everything in between, loads of different corporate events. At the heart of this offering is LiveU. Their industry-leading technology and years of bonded broadcasting means we can offer our clients a robust transmission using multiple cellular connections as well as Wi-Fi and LAN, allowing for plenty of redundancy, which is so important in a live stream. We've been using LiveU from the start, and like all working relationships, there have been a few issues over the years, but they have always been speedily addressed, and their staff's passion for their work has always been reassuring. Mentioning you here, Dan. So as I mentioned, we can often broadcast in very remote rural locations. We carry a range of SIM cards for all the main UK networks, and also supplement this from time to time if needed with our Starlink satellite or KA satellite connections. So let's unbox a Solo Pro and have a look. See my first impressions. Don't normally do unboxing videos, but oh, some stickers. Solo Pro stickers. Little start guide on what you need to do to get yourself going. Just basically tells you to go to the web browser and sign up for the LRT on the portal. Let's take this out, and there it is. So we've been using the traditional LiveU Solos from the start, and wow. Okay, so let's get that out. There's the leads. Okay, so the only thing that I haven't taken out in there is the power supply and the various different power supplies to different countries. So let's take that out. Okay, so I've got the bits out of the box. You get a little bit of information about your limited warranty. You can read all that. Mentions what's covered and what's not. We've got a power supply which comes with European, I think American and British plugs on the other end of this, and it's USB-C. Set that aside. You get traditional 2 USB extenders for the dongles. You get a little HDMI extension cable, so I think this is primarily so that you can use it in the Solo bag, which I'll talk about later, and just a little spur off to take the tension away from the actual unit itself. You get a lovely traditional LiveU case, and inside here is a cheeky shoulder strap. Nice neoprene, really properly well made, rugged shoulder strap. And a really good, nice quality bag. It's the same as the LiVU 300, which we've got. You've got a nice SDI protector here with rubber on it that effectively stops any gunk getting in. So let's have a look at the unit itself. So first impressions, it's a lot heavier than the original Solo, and I'll come on to why in a minute. So I've noticed here it's got a nice screw thread on the bottom. The standard LiveU doesn't have this, the original one, LiveU Solo. Well, this is brilliant because it means you can now mount it on top of your camera and look straight into the interface, put it on a small magic arm, or you can mount it on a tripod if you want to place it nice and high to get the best sort of signal. So that's a great improvement. As you'd expect to find on the side, Ethernet port, power from the USB-C, and one of the USB ports there. HDMI, we've got our 12G SDI port. On the side here, you'll also notice we have some SIM card slots. Well, this chassis, the reason for this is chassis is identical to the LiVU which is the TV encoder, which I'll mention in a minute. So that's why these SIM card slots are here. They don't actually work on this model, but they're there because it's obviously the same chassis. So my first impressions on the front of the unit is this nice big chunky button. It feels a lot easier to navigate than the standard Solo where you had to kind of go up and down. So let's get it in the case and see how it fares. You'll notice on the bottom here there's a nice rugged rubber base, so if you do put it on the floor it's not going to scratch too much. And you've also got this shoulder strap which is adjustable, which you can connect onto here, onto the sides, onto the bottom, sorry, there's 2 clip points there. So as you can see from the comparison chart, pause the video if you want to read that, the Solo Pro comes in 2 different models, the HDMI only, or SDI and HDMI, and this is the SDI and HDMI version. The SDI is up to 12G, allowing for lovely 4K video transmission. At the time this video was made, March 2023, this version is around €700 more expensive than the HDMI only version. So how does the LiveU Solo differ to the TV LiveU units? There is often a misunderstanding, mainly online, between the TV and web broadcast LiveU encoders. I think this is mainly due to the fact that they share almost identical chassis. The LiVU seen here is a point-to-point TV encoder. These stream directly to a playout server in a TV gallery. The glass-to-glass delay from this unit can be as low as 800 milliseconds, down from 1 second on the previous LiVU model. So in principle what that means is the talent that is stood at the remote location can speak to the studio or the director in under 1 second, 800 milliseconds, which is super quick. You can stream via RTMP with these units, but you either have to use LiveU's cloud-based service or have access to your own playout server, and then you can forward the pictures from there to your final content delivery network, i.e. YouTube. The TV encoders, though, are a lot more expensive than their web-based range. The LiVU TV encoder looks almost identical to the LiveU Solo Pro. A lot of people ask us if TV stations can accept an RTMP stream from a web-based encoder. The short answer is no. Whilst TV control rooms can technically ingest RTMP feed, the unit does not allow for any two-way talkback between the studio and the guest. Therefore, most Western broadcasters would discount them. So let's just see the actual physical differences between the 2 units. So, to all intents and purposes, they look identical. So the only real visual difference between these 2 is the height difference, as you can see there. And I think this is the internal modems that LiveU has. I'm just looking when I offer them up like that. So they're level there, and you can see one is definitely longer than the other. So this chart showcases some of the other differences. If you pause the video now, you can view that. So let's just take a look at the old LiveU next to the new LiveU. And as you can see, from a size point of view, they are noticeably, the new one is noticeably bigger. I'll come on to why that is in a minute. It's hard to describe. The build quality feels just so much better on them. These rubber knob on here you have to go up and down for. It's quite clunky. You can quite easily hit the wrong button on it, whereas the new one has got a lovely strong clunky dial, makes a lovely sound as well. So yeah, it just feels like a better product. The only real change to the case is that this one had a lovely belt clip on it, which I have never used because it never ends up going on a belt, and this one doesn't have a belt clip. One thing I would have done, LiveU, is the screw thread that you've got on the internal part of this, I would have considered putting something here so that you can actually screw it through whilst keeping it in the case. LRT, or LiveU Reliable Protocol, is what makes LiveU units. It's how it bonds multiple connections together. It costs $45 a month or $450 for the year. You can use a LiveU unit without this, but it's only a single connection, so you don't benefit from all that bonding. You manage this subscription in the cloud via a web browser. More on this in a future video. So let's do a comparison and compare the boot up times of the original Solo and the Solo Pro side by side. Turning them on now. There we go. So there we go. The Solo Pro is booted in and is ready to go already. There we go. So that's finally booted in. So the real difference here is if you do have a problem and you need to reboot your Solo, waiting for that amount of time in the middle of a live job is just so painful, whereas this one booted up so much more quickly. So in terms of connections, you can use 6 different connections on the Solo Pro. 4 external cellular modems, these can be 4G or 5G, and Wi-Fi and Ethernet. We advise you use as many as possible, and a broad range of cellular networks. In terms of power options, the Solo boasts a 3-hour internal battery. We haven't had to test this yet, but it's a vast improvement on the previous Solo model, which was an hour at most in reality. That accounts for a lot of the extra weight in the unit. What's really great is that it has a USB-C power input, meaning you can use a variety of USB-C power sources with a minimum of 45 watt power delivery. So for us, for example, we'd be able to power this off a V-Lock battery. The Solo Pro is heavier than the Solo at 912 grams or 2 pounds for the HDI model, or 936 grams, 2.06 pounds for the HDMI SDI model, which I'm holding. But it is packing a much larger battery, 3 times as much. The Solo Pro streams in both H.264, the same as the Solo, and also HEVC. In layman's terms, the HEVC format can send a 6 meg picture for just 3 meg, meaning you save money on data and, more importantly, don't need as strong a cellular signal, perfect in the more remote locations. At the time of making this video, HEVC cannot be used directly with any content delivery networks like YouTube, although this will change in the future, I'm sure. To benefit from the HEVC, you need to send it inside the SRT function via LiveU's cloud-based service, which is yet to launch. This means that you can get pictures from this straight into vMix or OBS. From here you can broadcast traditionally to your CDN via RTMP. LiveU Stream Tools, once live, will allow you to benefit from HEVC up to their system, the first mile if you like, and then from there you'll be able to push RTMP directly to your content delivery network. For users of vMix, this means you can use the Solo Pro as a mobile camera or to send an outside broadcast into your main production before it's then restreamed. I can see a lot of uses for this in our workflow. The Solo Pro allows for 4K streaming up to 60p and 20 megabits, with 2 channels of audio boasting audio bitrate up to 250 kilobits per second. This is the standard case the Solo Pro comes with, as well as a shoulder strap. and I think it's pretty good. There is also a great solo belt pack, which we'll review in another film. So lastly, I just wanted to share a few broadcasting tips really. So one of the things that we make sure we always have is what are called steering sims. So steering sims are available from LiveU UK, and what they do is they allow the sim itself to switch from network to network. So they are more expensive than maybe a contract sim, but for example, you could put one sim in and it might start looking at Vodafone, and if it can't get a signal on Vodafone, it looks at EE, and if it can't get a signal, and so on, until it finds the right connection. And we use them as part of our offering for connectivity. They're quite good to have a few of them in your bag, and you just pay LiveU directly when you use data. I think we pay £5 per gig, something like that. The next tip with any live streaming, especially if it's remote and you're not sure about signal, is get there early enough. We cannot stress this enough. So if we're doing a stream in a remote village or a remote area, we make sure we get there at least 2 hours beforehand. You may find that the cellular strength is fine outside, but isn't any good inside. So then you need to look at effectively being able to take your unit outside and run a cable from there to the camera. And the last bit of advice is really get to know your kit. It's no good just buying one of these products and expecting to turn up to a job, turn it on and it all to work. Understand how this unit works, understand how the browser platform works, the different options you have, how to connect to different content delivery networks, the differences between using the API over just a basic RTMP stream. Really test and test and test and research before doing any live streaming. We plan to make a few more videos in this series, an initial setup overview, a look at the web software, a challenging location live broadcast, and a deep dive into the solo belt pack when it becomes available. So do like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for those, and do leave a comment as well or ask a question. And thanks for watching.